And I'll go back to my slides. Yeah, so again, welcome everybody. Nice to see so many of you from different corners of the world. Um, yeah, again, my name is Hendrik Jan Gievink. I'm the head of department of Graphic Design Arnhem. And yeah, today I would like to tell you a little bit about our beautiful department. But first, maybe it's nice to start with our vision on graphic design. And I'm sure that maybe some of you have already some ideas about what graphic design is, otherwise you would not be attracted to be here. Some of the words that maybe come in are revolving around communication, information, images, media, print, creativity as well. Um, there's of course many ways to see graphic design and many definitions. One definition that I like is to see it as turning ideas into meaningful objects and experiences. And of course, with the goal to make the world a better place. Otherwise, it would not make sense. But what is better? Yeah, that's a philosophical question. For one person, that means better access to information. For another, it means more inclusion and diversity, or more beautiful images. That's open for discussion. But I think this definition kind of works. Um, the profession of graphic design has changed quite a bit in the past decades. It exists now for about 100 years. And when graphic design emerged as a discipline, it was really like print only. But today we see much more variety of media, also digital online media, designers moving more into the space of contemporary art, experimental publishing, more research-based, and also one, I think, very important development that we see is from only like individual makers to collaborative design network of makers, and in a very globalized context. To give you a little bit of an outline of how the discipline is evolving. A few values that we value with the department is that at least most of our teachers, they have a practice. They are working themselves as designers, so they bring in their knowledge and experience from their practice into teaching. We also value diversity and inclusivity, meaning that there's space for all different identities, ethnologies, ethnic backgrounds, sexual identities. I think it's important to state. We teach design from an artistic design climate, meaning that we don't necessarily cater to the market or the market demands, but we approach design from an artistic point of view. And we like to see designers that we educate as agents of change, meaning that you have an actual saying, an actual voice in how we shape the world. We're an internationally oriented department, that's why also this talk is in English. And we value a do-it-yourself mentality, that we like to do things ourselves and be self-propelled, design our own platforms, create our own Wikipedia page, create our own talk shows. That's something we find important. And I think it's becoming much more important for designers these days to really create your own environment that you want to work in. But let's zoom in a bit into a few of these things before I also want to show some work of students. Let's first look at some work by GDA teachers to give you a little bit of an idea of who you will meet when you are accepted here, and to get an idea of their work, because that's also the practice that we teach for. Here on the right you see Annelou van Ginsven. She runs a studio based in Arnhem. The project that she holds here in her hand is a book. It's called The Most Believed Fairy Tale. It's a children's book. I think it's it's a bit more traditional approach to graphic design. It's print, it's a book, color, shape, typography. This is graphic design, how we, or at least most of us, how we understand it. Here's a detail of it. but also show some more work of teachers. This is the work by Remco van Bradel. He's doing the layout of Metropolis M, which is a Dutch art magazine. This is also still quite recognizable as graphic design, text and images, layouts, yeah. But the same design concepts are also translated into other mediums, like for instance this smartphone application for the Dutch or for the Venice Biennale in Italy a couple of years ago, also by the same teacher, Remco van Bladel. Or this collaboration with a Dutch artist who created a mobile pavilion for the Kurds, a minority in Turkey, who never had their own state, and he created a mobile embassy for the Kurds to engage in political debate. And Remco designed the whole, this kind of igloo-shaped dome for it with all the images and symbols. Here's another version of it. So yeah, this is also graphic design, but in this case in a spatial context and working together with artists. I hear some sounds in the background, so it seems that people have still their microphone on. Maybe it's nice to turn them off, and if you have questions, put them in the chat. Here's still some work by Remco van Bladel. And the last example I want to show is by teacher Coralie Vogelaar. Coralie is really bordering on, let's say, the overlap between graphic design, artistic research, and contemporary art, and also other disciplines like video and performance. Here you see a project where she analyzed thousands of news images, and she used like comparable images of the same event. And she looked at the movements and the compositions of the images. How does it come that some images are very popular on Google and others hardly visible? Well, that you see here in this research. And what she did is she asked performers to reenact those images together with the choreographer. And it turned out that the successful images were very easy to dance for the performance, but the unsuccessful images were quite difficult to perform. And she created a video installation where both images are presented as a video side by side. And of course, this is, it has elements of graphic design, but research, it's about information, it's about images in the news, but the way it's presented also bordering on fine art. Well, this hopefully gives you a little bit of an idea of what teachers in the department do, and also the bandwidth of the discipline. Let's now go into the curriculum. How does the education look like? It's going to be a little bit dry information, so buckle up. I want to share some information on the curriculum and the foundation of it. There's 4 courses that remain the same throughout year 1, 2, and 3. The teachers might change, but the courses are the same. And they consist of 3 practical courses and 1 theoretical course. And well, the practical course is typography, that's dealing with images and layout. With dealing with letters, words, layouts. Digital media, as the word says, it deals with programming and code, but also working with online open source software, platforms. And design research is all about generating your own content and also using design as a tool to research societal topics. Now, around that, we have a strong base of media design and theory and philosophy, which gives you the theoretical and conceptual foundation for your work. Well, this is the foundation of the curriculum, and here you see it more in a schedule from year to year. That you see the top row. You see these 4 courses, and below you see additional courses that are a bit different every year. So in the first year, There's also supportive courses like spatial design, visual language, prototyping, computer skills. There's also technical courses that are a bit more like, a course you have to do once in order to work with the workshops, like silk screening or bookbinding. If you want to work in the silkscreen workshop, you have to do that course. And next to that, there's also a few things that are the same for everyone. Open Lab, that's as the name says, it's open. It's kind of a very open space in the curriculum where you can conduct your own research and initiate your own projects. There's sprints. Actually, they're only for the second and third year, so I should adjust that slide. But a sprint is like a 1 week workshop by guest teachers. So it's a bit in the middle of the semester. You will get teachers from outside, to keep it fresh and to give new input that is otherwise not covered in the main curriculum. And every year we have winter sessions in January. It's a project month where we either work on one big project altogether or multiple smaller projects. There's no regular classes, just working on projects. Now what you see is that the first year is quite full. The schedule will be very tough. Expect to work also sometimes in the evening. There will be little time for other activities. But in the second year, the schedule is much more open. There's less classes. But the classes that you get a bit more complex. The assignments get a bit more theoretical. There's more methodological approach. And the same continues in the third year. There's only the core curriculum and a new thing called the research lab where you can basically rehearse your graduation in the fourth year. You also see the 2 white dots. It's a new concept called Commons Club. It's something we're very proud of. It's kind of an unofficial brand within the department. And the Commons Club is where we organize all kind of activities that are not really in the curriculum, but we find them important because they contribute to the department. So you can think of a movie club, a print club, workshops, organizing a party, all these kind of things that make the department like really nice and like a small family that you want to belong to. So this together makes more or less the curriculum for year 1, 2, and 3. And then the fourth year is a bit different because you have to work quite independently. There's no regular classes, but you work on, you do an internship, you work on a thesis, 1 practical assignment and 1 research assignment. And we'll get to that later on. First, I want to show you some work of the first 3 years. It's really about basics of graphic design. It's really an introduction to all these different aspects. The work is often a bit more formalistic, and you really get to introduced in the relation between form and content. How to generate forms, how to generate ideas, how to work with typography and images, color studies, basic shapes, but also printing techniques like a Reso print. That's kind of a stencil machine. That these images that you see here are produced with that machine. So it's somewhere between like a photocopier and an actual printer. So you can experiment with the printing process. And what does one color when you put it over another color? It's a really nice way to experiment. Also basics like using words and images and how you can combine the two. That's core of the discipline graphic design, of course. But not only in 2 dimensions, you will also be challenged to work in 3D. Here you see an installation of a student that created some kind of setup where you had to sit on hanging chairs and a hanging table, and you were served lunch while you have a conversation. Of course, that's a bit difficult, but this was part of the process in the experiment. And then later on, she also turned that back into a 2D publication, like a little booklet with documentation of the work. So also then it becomes, yeah, 3D becomes 2D again. Another very important element of introduced to in the first year is what we call work reviews. And the work review is that all the teachers at the end of the semester will look at all your work together. So with every class, you get a midterm assessment, and also at the end of the semester, teachers will assess your work. You will get a grade, you get feedback. But next to that, we also have this work review where we ask you to create an exhibition where you basically show all your work and sketches. And teachers are looking at it to gain insight into your personal and artistic development. And it's very important. I think it's unique to art education that you get this way of 360 degrees feedback from very different perspectives. It's very valuable, sometimes maybe a little bit intimidating that you really have to stand up and present, but it's also good training because as a professional designer you will have to present your work many times. Here you see some more images of work reviews in the first year. You really see that it's the work is still like beginner level graphic design, all the core elements are there, but for us it's really nice to see how a student is developing, where are their artistic skills, what are their strengths, but also their weaknesses, and how can we help them turn the weaknesses into strength. In the meanwhile, I'll see also a question coming in about the difference between graphic design on, in Dutch, the HBO system or the MBO. HBO means like higher education. MBO means like how to translate. It's more practical education. One very important difference is that teaching or learning graphic design at a HBO or art education is that we approach graphic design from an artistic perspective. So not only teach you to make what a client asks for you, but also to have your own personal idea about what you want to make as a designer. See it a bit more from the artistic side. Another very important element is that it's more critical approach. So we ask you, or we challenge you to really look more critical at what you see, like images in the news, and reflect on that through the work. Maybe we can get back to that later on. For now, I'll just scroll through and show you some more images. In December, we had to reschedule all the work reviews to online. This is how some students solved it. They just built the exhibition. And just like now we have in team meetings, they presented it online. So we always find ways to solve this. It's not really a problem for us so far. Then we move to the second year. And the second year is, on one hand, it's a continuation of the first year, but also with some differences that, as I already said, the program has less classes, but the classes get a bit more, or assignments get a bit more complicated. Instead of only just like experimenting intuitively, we challenge you to also work a bit more methodological, as a step-by-step approach, that you can also really evaluate results. I'll share some more examples of this. Here you see, some examples from this. Somebody did here research into word art, or more like abstract image making. Like mapping, collecting complex information, and putting that into a map. That's yeah, that's also part of the second year. I see a comment by Maaike that the sound is getting worse. I'm not sure if I can do anything there. Do more people have that? Because nothing has changed here. Oh, Yara says yes. Now what can I do? Nothing has changed here. It's lagging a bit. Should I speak slower, maybe? Let's try to speak slow. Yeah, maybe somebody has their mic on or a video. If you can turn it down, it sometimes helps. Okay, I will continue from here and try to speak a little bit slower. Still, in the second year, also you see more traditional applications of graphic design, like you see here. But we also throw in other mediums, like digital media, hardware, physical objects. This is also in design research. We try to encourage you to really experiment with different forms and challenge the notion of what graphic design can be. We are in an art school, and you should really use the full bandwidth of possibilities to make all kind of crazy things and really surprise your teachers and yourself, of course. This is also an example of a student that combines two media, Twitter and Wikipedia, into a new application where you can tweet Twitter entries. It's more like experimental way of dealing with media instead of just designing an app, which other types of education will teach you. But here, this is more experimental and questioning the medium. This is, I find, always a very beautiful example of what design research can be. Here, a student researched Facebook profiles of people who don't live anymore, who deceased, but still their Facebook profiles are on. She collected all the text from the Facebook profiles. She put the text into a little piece of software that turns the text into speech. Then she recorded the speech and she made vinyl records of the speech. So with this installation, you can have an actual physical record, a vinyl record. You play it on the record player and you hear this synthesized computer voices of people who are not alive anymore as some kind of memory that turns something that's abstract and not really touchable and digital on the internet into a physical experience. This was also made in the second year in the course Design Research. And sometimes design research just ends in a concept, just not really a physical output at all, just more like an idea. So that side is also part of graphic design. In times like these, you will engage your teachers also partly online. We do hybrid teaching at the moment. Where possible, we teach physically in the classrooms, but currently the Netherlands is on a lockdown, so we organize classes also online, so you meet teachers in their own studios. This is Jeremy Jeltsen, a very good graphic designer. Then we go to the third year. And the third year is all about deepening your research, creating your own methods and integrating all the courses. The courses in the core curriculum, typography, digital media, media and design theory and design research, and make it kind of all one integrated body of work. Where sometimes you can also see that more traditional forms of graphic design are merging with new media and digital media, like this typeface. that was also generated on a computer with some kind of database behind it. So here I think it's really interesting. You see the merge of what the traditional, the background of graphic design, where we come from, but also where we're going to, working with more complex, dynamic digital systems. We'll also be challenged to deal with more quote-unquote difficult content, like journalistic concepts or things that happen in the news or philosophical content. So it's not for everyone. You really have to, just being creative is an important aspect, but it's not enough. It's also about being analytical, digging into information, putting your brain to work, and connect the brain with the hands and make something. Also in the third year, we'll continue with more experimental research methods, and the work that you see often that being produced gets more and more refined as well, also in more traditional media. And sometimes it can also be just beautiful, like this student who created this bags for ice cubes with coloring liquid, and she had it hanging on the walls. And create a beautiful installation out of it, or this very intricate, abstract printed object. Just very beautiful. Also the work reviews that will contain the same, from year 1 to year 2 and 3. In these times, we also do that online. We also use sometimes new software. Like for instance, this student, she uses a program called OBS, where you can have put yourself in your own presentation and kind of walk through your digital presentation. And for us, that's also very exciting to make use of the things that we can do in this day and age, making smart use of digital technologies. So this gives you a little bit of an idea of the program and the output of the program in the year 1, 2, and 3. Before I want to go to the 4th year, the graduation year, I want to highlight some other aspects, which is the international orientation. Now, right now is not really the moment to travel because the world is in a global pandemic, but typically we like to take students on a research trip abroad. Here we are in Mexico City. We look at the implications of globalization, informal street cultures, and what we can learn from that as graphic designers. The images before, here we were in Beijing, and we were also making an exhibition together with local artists and designers. Sometimes these expeditions to abroad lead to new projects. And here's one project I would like to share with you. It's done by these 3 students. We were invited by the Dutch embassy in China to make a contribution to the Beijing Design Week. And these students, they came up with a concept called the public toilet cleaning disco. And they figured out that in Beijing there's many houses don't have sanitation, so there's public toilets, but the public toilets are often quite dirty in their perspective. So they said let's start cleaning the toilets and make a party out of it as a way to get in touch with locals and also to talk to locals about how they see their city changing and rapidly transforming. And we have a little movie out for that, which I want to share with you. Is the sound on of the movie? All right. Oh, I just heard there was no music. Well, that's too bad. There was some song behind it. It's not really important, but just to give you some ideas that we created this disco atmosphere. Maybe now it's better. So we're walking through the streets of Beijing, cleaning toilets and making party, and talking to locals. All right. Where are we? Oh yeah. So the fourth year. The fourth year is all about your graduation. Graduation at GDA consists of 4 elements. An internship, the thesis, which you typically both do in the first semester, and a practical assignment and a research project in the second semester. And that all culminates into a graduation exhibition that I want to give you a little bit impression of. This is the exhibition that we made last year, October, and here you see some examples of research projects by students. It's a physical video installation. One element of the graduation, as I said, is the practical assignment. And here we assigned 2 students to create a magazine for the department. What is nice to know is that every aspect of this publication was made by students. So the content, the concept development, all the texts are written by students. The images were taken or collected by students, also based on workshops that also were organized by students. It contains interviews with students, and last but not least, all the typefaces used to make the book are also designed by students. And of course, the printing and the binding was also done by these 2 students. So it's a really nice example of an in-house publication where all the aspects are done by students. And I think by the end of the study, after 4 years, you really learn how to do this from scratch, really starting with 0, just an assignment, and you turn it into a physical publication that you also distribute with your fellow students. One other example of a practical assignment is the graduation catalog. Every year we produce one, and this is usually a print publication, a book, where we show the work of the students as a kind of a gift for themselves, but also for the network. What is special about this catalog is that a large part of the graduation process happened while we were all in lockdown. So many of the meetings that we had with the students were online. So the 2 students, Francisca and Joost, who designed this catalog, they decided to also record their life in lockdown and to put images of the context where their work happens in the catalog. So it's not only a catalog with beautiful artworks, but it's also full of very mundane, everyday images, like their laptops, their power cords, sketchbooks, next to images of their work. I would like to highlight one graduation project, because I think it gives a good idea of how you can graduate at our department. And it's this movie from one student, Benjamin Macmillan, a British student, and for his research project, he created a project called Full Auto Foundry, and he's going to explain himself what the project is all about.
It's kind of like an hour as well, yeah. Super nice. I'm Benjamin Macmillan, and my graduation project is Full Auto Foundry. The two fascinations that I started with at the beginning of this project was type design and automation. More specifically, I was interested in kind of like auto completion. So like similar to that on a phone, when you just like type random letters and then the computer tries to figure out what that word would be, and then it just kind of fills it in for you. I was interested in how that could work in combination with type design. Could you sketch something and then you kind of sketch again, and then maybe something just kind of like forms naturally or by assistance of a machine? You just kind of like use these tools and then generate this typeface, and then something strange comes out. Just the unknown of what the letter's going to look like was super fascinating to me. It's a V, maybe, or a Y, perhaps. Yeah, it could be a U as well. In the last few years, I've been running this type club in the department, and the type club is just kind of this weekly workshop-based kind of gathering of students and people who are interested in type design. Every week, we do just like this kind of weird or strange workshop to generate kind of letters completely by hand. So that was the major inspiration for me for this project, because I really enjoyed running these workshops. So I just wanted to carry that on to the next step. I didn't want it that you can just ask a machine to design a typeface for you, because for me, that wasn't so interesting or fun. I wanted it to be that you could actually take part in it, and then the machine would just help you along. There's kind of 3 steps to this project. There's the analog automation, which is done using the stencils. Because the shape already exists, you just have to move your pen and then the shape is produced. The second step is then taking those sketches that you've done and feeding it into the machine. This machine then digitizes all the letters and produces a typeface, and then it will send it automatically to the website of the Foundry. There's a download button for every typeface that's generated in the workshop. And you can just hit that button, and then you have the typeface on your computer. If you're a professional type designer, you could use it as like a prototyping tool, kind of like rapidly kind of churn out a quick sketch that you had, and then just see how it works just in an hour or so. And typically it could take days, years, whatever to make a typeface. There's still a lot more I want to do in the future, because it's a project that I don't intend to stop now. I want to carry it on into the future, because I want to hold more workshops around around the country, I guess, or around anywhere. And there's still a lot of things that I would like to improve. But at the moment, in the time that I've had to work on this, I'm super pleased with it.
All right. Benjamin for explaining. Where are we? Yeah. Yeah, I'm super thrilled about this project. I think it's really, for me, pointing towards how a future of graphic design could look like. Some people worry that artificial intelligence will take over our profession, or that computers will become so smart that they will render creativity or human creativity in designers obsolete. I don't believe that. I think Benjamin really shows that you can work together with forms of artificial intelligence. It's a bit like riding a horse. We don't compete running against horses, but when you ride the horse, it becomes interesting. And Benjamin creates a really beautiful example of really connecting the manual creative labor with the possibilities of computational power. Yeah, so I think one more thing about Benjamin's work is that I think you also really see here the elements of the curriculum coming together. If you remember the 4 core elements: typography, digital media, design research, media design theory, it's all there, and it's in a very integrated way. It's all in his personal vision, but also a vision that really contributes to the profession of graphic design. And I'm sure he will do many workshops with this and bring his project further. So yeah, after people graduate, yeah, they go their own way. Typically, we see three different main paths that people take. Either they continue their education, for instance, by doing a master. That can be a design master, such as in Arnhem, bachelor typography, or in The Hague, non-linear narrative. Sometimes they do a university master, such as gender studies or something else. Some of them become self-employed as designer, alone or in a collective. And others, they start working for a design studio, where they typically start as junior designer and then over the years become maybe senior director or art director or partner even. Um, some people do not choose the path of graphic design, or life chooses another path for them. That also happens, and we have to be upfront about that. It's not always an easy path. It's when you really want to make a living out of your creativity, it means you have to be, yeah, you have to work really hard and yeah, keep on going. And yeah, just being creative or some talent is not enough. You really have to connect with other people, um, keep learning skills and improve yourself along the way. But yeah, if you're willing to do that, then it can be a super nice life for yourself. I think a few things are more fulfilling than yeah, creating a creative life for yourselves. So the type of students that we are looking for in the department, and we're very happy to welcome, is that we always describe them as makers who think and thinkers who make. So I think if you remember Benjamin, he's clearly a maker. He works with his hands, he's creative, but he also has an idea about where the world is going, where automation is going, what the role of humans and machines is. Clearly a maker who thinks and a thinker who makes. So if you think that's you, yeah, we very much welcome you to apply with our department, and we invite you for a conversation. On the application process, some of you have already asked some questions in the chat. Maybe we can visit those questions also when I conclude my talk. Emails about application you can always send to Patricia. Here's her email address. Again, Patricia is the coordinator. She will answer all your questions. A very good way to keep in touch with the department, if you want to know more or you feel like you need more information, is to look us up on Instagram. We have quite an active Instagram account with also interviews with students, movies of exhibitions and presentations, links to other Instagram accounts like the Type Club Benjamin was referring to. Other social media we do as well, Twitter, Flickr, Facebook, though not so active as Instagram. At the moment it's Instagram for us. Yeah, that's all I have to say at this moment. I will close my presentation, but not this meeting. So I'll go back to you and also stop sharing my screen. Yes, and now I can see you again. Well, I hope this was helpful for you. I'm going to look at the chat if there's still open questions. Where are we? Hey, I don't see questions. Didn't you answer all the questions already, Patricia? Oh yeah. Micah has a question. Wait, there's something with my screen. Hold on a second. I have to... Yeah. Micah, do you want to repeat the question? I don't hear you, Micah, and I cannot see my... Well.
Hey, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes, I had a question about the economic part of this study.
Yeah.
I was wondering if there is also a course about this part, about how you can get your products you make on the market.
Yeah. That's a very good question. The simple answer is no, there's no official course, but we do give additional courses, like typically in the third year or second year, fourth year, you get some kind of course, what it means working with clients. On the other hand, I must say that our education is practically oriented, so it also kind of is interwoven with the classes that teachers talk about their practice, talk about their experiences with clients. So that information comes with the site. But if you're looking for like a commercial design education, that this is not your type of education. There's other schools who focus more on that.
Okay, thanks.
You're welcome. As I said, I cannot read the chat, so if there's more questions, you can also just raise your hand or maybe Patricia has some questions. Oh yeah, Irene, I see you have a question. Yeah, the internship. Absolutely. You are required to do an internship in your fourth year. Typically, it's 3 months. Students do take internships with Dutch design studios or go abroad. There are now most students just returned from internship, but somewhere in Berlin. There's one student in London. But people have gone abroad to Beijing or other places. So that's all possible. And what's also possible is that instead of an internship, you can do an exchange with another school. So that you can decide whether you want to do either an exchange or an internship. Does it answer the question, Rosemarie? Okay, good. Yeah. Let me read the chat. Mike has to go. Well, bye, Mike. I hope it was good for you. Let's see. Oh yeah, Irene has information about the entry test. Maybe, Patricia, I don't know if you're still here with us. Maybe you can say some things about that. Patricia? I'll answer first the question about software. It's a question about from Sebastian. Sebastian, can you be a bit more specific? What was your question regarding software? Do you mean what type of software we use in general?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So, I think the most popular software among designers nowadays. I hear myself echoing. Maybe you have to turn on your mic. So the most popular software nowadays is the Adobe suite, InDesign, Photoshop, Illustrator. But next to that, we also use alternative software, open source software, or even write your own software, like as I showed with Benjamin, the website that he presented, he created that himself. So that's why we also have digital media as a course, that you are also, to a certain extent, are able to write your own programs or software. So you're not only dependent on what the industry offers to you. Does it answer your question, Sebastian?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Okay, good. Some questions about the application. Patricia, I'm calling you again. Are you still here? Because I know you're an expert in that process. Well, Patricia is in the background, but apparently she doesn't hear us. Let me see, who asked that question about application? Yeah, so Irene, is she still with us? You would like to hear about the entry test. What would you like to hear?
I guess just the requirements that I've already read on your website, but
Yeah.
just some more information about how you can, I don't know if I explain myself, but how you react, I don't know, to more of an international, I don't know. The way I learned is maybe very different from the way you in your country learn. So.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So where are you from, Irene?
I'm from Italy.
All right. Yeah. Yeah. So I don't know all the school systems in the world, but it happens that international students have to adjust a little bit on the Dutch system, but also the culture. In general, I think, or I'd like to believe that the Dutch education system is quite open and forward. Dutch like to tell it like it is. And it's not so very hierarchical. It's very easy to walk into the office, to talk to me, the head of department, or Patricia, the coordinator, or just to send an email to our teachers. Some students have to get adjusted to that. But I believe the question was more about the entry exam. I also saw a question from Marisa about the term mixed media. So if you like, I can tell a little bit more about what we like to see in a portfolio. Is that we really like to see the broadness, but also the depth of your creativity. So when in doubt, always include something. Try to not only come up with things that you think look like proper graphic design, but also drawings, also photography, movies, video. If you dance, maybe you can include a recording of your dancing. We really want to see your creativity, but also your analytical ability. How do you deal with sketches? How do you, can you not only come up with a beautiful result, but also the steps towards that beautiful result? Can you show that through sketches? So that's that what we like to see. And the term mixed media is that that is more like instead of the traditional media like oil painting or drawing, that's only a singular medium. But mixed media is like video that contains images, sound, image, text, combinations of the things that we are very interested to see. Does this answer your question a little bit?
Yes, thank you a lot.
Okay, you're welcome. Are there more questions? I don't see them in the chat. You can also just raise them here. Emmy, I see you raising your hand. Yes?
Like, how can you prepare yourself for the entry test? Because I'm scared that I don't have enough experience. And I have another question about how good you need to be at drawing, for example, because all those things are scaring me, but it looks so much fun.
Well, I think one thing to up front, I can understand that you are tensed about it. But I think you should never be scared. There's no reason to be scared. What can happen is that sometimes it's too early in your development, or if you're not accepted, you can try another time. But I think you should not be scared. One good way to prepare is to take part in portfolio reviews up front. We have a few scheduled. I don't have the dates present with me, but I believe they're in the coming weeks, every Saturday. We have portfolio reviews where students and teachers will have a look at your portfolio and they can give you some advice already. So take a look at our Instagram. Then there's announced. Yeah.
I share a link in the chat.
Yes.
It's on the artist website. If you look up for Graphic Design Arnhem, then we have the portfolio talks schedule. You can find it there. It's the 17th of February and 25, but you can check up at the website.
Yeah, so that's a good way to prepare yourself and also to get a bit more comfortable. It's not official. You can bring anything and just students will give you advice and tips and tricks. Other than that, I can just say like put in as much as possible. And with regard to your question on drawing, we don't expect you to be like a brilliant drawer. I think it's a nice skill to have. And it's good to see that you can connect your brain with your hands. But what's more interesting for us to see, do you have like, well, first of all, are you motivated? Do you have like an intrinsical motivation that you really want to study graphic design and also study with us? Have you done your research? What is our department about? Then do you show in your portfolio that you have a broad range of experiments? We can see you're a creative person and you try all kind of different things. That we also have a feeling that we can teach you something over the years. That you should not come in with your style already defined, like this is me, this is my style. But no, you should be really come with an open mind and be able to to learn. That's really important.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah. Well, if there's not more questions, I have another meeting coming up. Then we can round this off. Thank you, Patricia, for sharing the link. I would really advise everybody to take a portfolio review. I think it's fun. It's a good way to get to know the department better and also in a different way than talking to me. Students can also really tell you a lot. So for now, I thank you very much for listening and your interest in our department. And I really hope and look forward to see you at some point during the application exams. And I wish you a very nice day for the rest of the day, of course. Bye.
Bye.